We are recording episode one or episode zero of the Global Tea Break podcast. Okay. And in three, two, one. Hello and welcome to a brand new podcast. This is the Global Tea Break podcast with myself, Alan Hennessy, the digital mentor.
And myself, D.Scott Smith, motivational listener. Alan and I are the co founders of the virtual global tea break, which started, Alan, hard to believe, but it started before the pandemic, before the lockdown in February of 2023 was the first meeting. But we had discussions well before that.
Yeah, well, we've known each other quite a long time, which, as some people might say, for more years than I care to remember. But at the end of the day, yeah, so we came together with the Global Tea Break. You could just, I think back to when we did start, when we had our very first meeting. And of course, that very first meeting was only myself and yourself, where I put out on Twitter, I says, I'm just looking to sit and talk to someone. Just have a chat with someone, and you jumped on and said on Twitter, yeah, let's jump on and have a chat, and we did. And then it just sort of escalated, and we said, let's open this up to other people, and then it literally just grew from there. I think our first what was our first meetup? I think we had about 20 people that came in, which was really surprising for me to see the encouragement. And of course, as you said, it was all before the pandemic struck, which was really important. But I think it really it opened up the doors for a huge amount of opportunity for people to connect and to reach out to each other.
Audio and video were not new to you. I know you had been doing a lot of broadcasting before that on different platforms. I've been involved for years, and in fact, it was Blab that really brought us together
Mm,
way back in starting when Blab was going in 2015 and 2016. We met there in Ireland at the Social Media Summit, built a friendship that's lasted all these years.
mm.
And here we are now with our own podcast with a community that is growing every month. We meet on the third Friday of the month, but going back to that very first meeting, when we announced that we were going to do this on Zoom, people didn't know about Zoom. And so to get 20 people into that room was a big accomplishment at that time. Then the world changed in March of 2020. The lockdowns came, and it turned out we needed virtual connection more than ever.
Yeah, and I think that was where it became really evident that you know building a community and building a network like that was really important. And and I say it every time, it's all about the connections that we make that keep us together and to help us and motivate us, but also help us to collaborate and help us to do business within that community as well. But I think it's become more of a lot of people have grown in the community.
Hmm.
Like, I've seen it over the last, whatever it is, over the last 3.5 years or so of the tea break, and the connections that have been built, but the friendships that have been nurtured has really stood out. And it's just great to see, and it's great to be able to say that I was part of bringing that together. I think that's where I think we have to sort of blow our own trumpets at the end of the day. But it really is, and I think that's really one of the big talking points that I want to really get across to people is that the global tea break is a global community, and
Hmm.
it's there for everyone. It's not just there for certain individuals. If you want, you just jump on and you come on, and you're as welcome as the next person. And I've always had that attitude, and I've always had that, vision for the way the tea break goes. But
Hmm.
I'm hogging the
Well,
mic here, Scott.
let's tell people a little bit about what the tea break is, because we started this back in February of 2020. We meet on Zoom, and back then we didn't even have a regular schedule.
Mm,
We met on a Friday morning, Friday here on the west coast of the United States. Of course, you're in Dublin, Ireland. You're between 7 and 8 hours ahead of me.
Mm,
which depends on where we're at with the clock movements, but 7 to 8 hours ahead, which is perfect tea time. But we didn't even have a regular schedule. It took us months before we actually decided that we were going to meet on the third Friday of the month.
mm. Yeah, and I think that that's really important because what it is I think people as well, they really do, they like that idea because they put it into their calendar and they
Hmm.
know that it's the third Friday of every month that we meet. But, and I think that's the really good thing about the tea break is that you always see, you know, the usual faces will always turn up, which is a huge community. Like on average, we have, 30 to 40 people
Hmm.
on each month, which is incredible, I think, to see. And it's a huge, you know, testament to what we're doing and
Hmm.
testament to what the tea break is doing. And like I always say on the tea break, and people, if they have been on it, they will know that I always say it's not mine and it's not Scott's. It's everyone's community. It's
Hmm.
everyone's tea break. So, as much as we are the co-founders of it, we believe that, if we don't all contribute, well, it really is it just doesn't work. And I think that's the really good thing about it because we have them people that really promote and contribute to it
Hmm.
every month, you know?
So the Tea Break is a networking group. We meet, as I mentioned, we meet once a month, third Friday of the month. We meet for 90 minutes. And it's a typical network meeting where we have a little introduction. And then what's fun is anyone that's new, that's the first time they're attending, they get interviewed by you, and
Yeah.
you're a master interviewer. You've been doing social media talks, that podcast, for many years, have talked to some of the greatest marketing minds on the planet, and so they get to be interviewed by an expert and get to share all about themselves, and that's just the first part of our 90 minutes.
Mm, mm. Yeah, and then of course we go into our teaching time, which
Hmm.
is always one of our community members who is in business or has something that they can share with with the community. It doesn't necessarily have to be, and this is the great thing about it is we've always said it's not a sales pitch. It's about education. It's about
Hmm.
helping people to learn more. And we have had some incredible people on that. We've had, people who've talked about AI, who've talked about, content writing, about writing, publishing your books. There's so much there. And like that's only just off the top of my head. The ones that start to stand out, like facial recognition,
Hmm.
things like all of these things and negotiations. And they give their time for free and they share their experience and their expertise with the community. So it's a really, really powerful way to learn as well.
It's really been fun to learn from the members of the community, and that's always what is what it is. It's always a member of the community that is sharing knowledge with the group. Now, we don't charge for the tea break for the whole community. There's no charge. There's never been a fee. We don't have plans to put a fee in. However, there are costs. Both you and I have had to pay hard cash, had hard
Mm,
currency for the hosting, but we're not there for the money. But we do have a Patreon account where people can volunteer to support the community, and there's different levels that they can choose. But we do put the content of the monthly meeting there on the Patreon. So if you miss it, or you want to go back and say, oh, yeah, Matt Rouse was talking about Web 3.0. What does that mean? What is all this metaverse stuff? What's all this blockchain technology? You can go back and watch it again on the Patreon channel.
mm. And then, of course, after our teaching time, and this is, you got to remember, guys, this is all within the 90 minutes.
Hmm.
After that, we have a Q&A session with the educator of the day. And then when we finish that, we go into breakout rooms. And
Yes.
that's where the real, you know, relationships are really starting to build.
I love the breakout rooms. We keep those small at 3 to 4 people. So you actually get a chance to get to know the person that the people that are in there with you. And we run those for about 15 minutes. So you get, about 4 or 5 minutes per person to share and get to know. But there's a feature of the breakout rooms in the global tea break that is unique. I haven't seen it in any other breakout because the breakout rooms are common. I mean, that's just a Zoom feature.
Mm,
But we have one person of each from each one of those breakout rooms who comes back and shares to the entire group. So I might say, I was in the breakout room with Alan Hennessy. He's the digital mentor. He's got a podcast. He's got a couple of podcasts. He's on the radio. He's written books. He's got courses. And then everyone goes, oh, I definitely need to meet him. I need to know about this thing, which is unique. And we share back. And so each one of the breakout rooms has one member share back, talks about everybody in the room in a little short overview. By the time we've done that, we've pretty much run our 90 minutes from the interviews,
mm.
the teaching, the Q&A, the breakout rooms, and the reporting back. And then the fun begins at the after party.
Yeah, yeah. There's always an after party, but that's for another episode.
We'll talk about that in another.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. There's the cliffhanger. Make sure you tune in, subscribe to this podcast, share it with your friends, give us a like, and give us a great review. Of course, that's what members of the community does. They support each other.
Mm. And I think speaking of the support, it's really important here to stress that you know the global tea break community have so many incredible people, and and each month when we're on the call, people are talking about either their YouTube channels or the podcasts or podcasts they were on or the book that they've just launched or whatever it may be. So to be able to showcase that, what we've done is on the globalteabreak.com website is we have actually included a huge amount of resources on this. And yet again, as we said, this is all for free. This is not chargeable. We do not charge anything for it. The whole idea is if you're part of the community, you get the opportunity to be able to showcase what you can do or what it is that you're working on in that way. So if you go to the Global Tea Break website, you can see that there is a podcast channel which has all of the members' podcasts on it.
Hmm.
And we're constantly adding that to that. We also have a fantastic what we call it the community bookshelf, because
Hmm.
that's what it is, because there's so many of the members of the community that have wrote books and have published books, and and there's a lot of them that are bestsellers as well, guys. So
Absolutely.
they're not just you know a, a sort of a small book. They are actual bestsellers on Amazon. So there's a huge amount of literature there that you can go, and all of the links are on these pages to be able to go and get them. We also then have the podcast channels as well, and the YouTube channels, which is a new feature that we've only just added. So every one of our 90%, I'd say, of our community have a YouTube channel. So what we try and do is to promote that. And at the end of the day, the great thing about the community is that you can ask people to go and to subscribe to the YouTube
Hmm.
channels, and which builds up your following and your subscribers on these different platforms, whether it be your podcast or whether it be your YouTube channel. So there's great opportunities here as well for people, and I think that's the beauty of what we're doing here. And everyone is so kind to be able to you know approve us and let us put these things up there, let us put these different resources out there for people.
And all of this came about because you said, let's have a virtual cup of tea.
Yeah, it is. It's sort of turned into a monster. It's
Mhm.
just grown. But it is, and I have to admit, and I don't say this enough. I'm so proud to be part of it, of this community, because I think it's so important for us. And of course, the natural progression is what we're here for here today is
Mhm.
the podcast. This is zero episode of the podcast. So, Scott, you might tell us a little bit about what we are planning for this podcast.
The beautiful thing about this is, again, it's all about the members of the community. So we have a LinkedIn group, and that is a fabulous page where people can share what they have going on. And here's another unique feature. Not only do we not charge to be a member of the community, if you've attended the tea break meetings, the monthly meetings, then we'll let you join the LinkedIn group where we say, please promote yourself. So many times people have groups and they're like, no promotion. Don't tell us that you're selling a book or a course or you do coaching or consulting or whatever it is you do. We encourage people to share and promote themselves so that we know what's there to offer. We're not trying to sell each other necessarily, but we want to make it available to share great solutions.
Mm, mm. And then the great thing about that is when people do on LinkedIn is they actually share it with their own communities. So
Mhm,
they're not just notified of it and made aware of what's going on. They actually take that next step and then promote it on to their own communities. And they all have a serious amount of followers or connections that are on LinkedIn. We also then as well we forgot to mention is that if you attend the global tea break meetings on the third Friday of every month, that if you attend more than three, you also get added to our community page, which has all of our community on
mhm,
that page and their image of their picture of them as well. But what we do is we use their LinkedIn profiles
mhm,
to promote them. So it doesn't go to your website because some people may not have a website, but everyone has a LinkedIn
mhm,
profile.
or they
So what
should.
we so what we or
And
well, not and they don't. Yeah.
if you don't, contact the digital mentor and he'll he'll give you the tools that you need.
Yeah, but I think that's the beauty of it is because at
Mhm,
least then people can connect with you on LinkedIn through the website as well. But and it's great because you're actually in that mix of people that are
that's
very,
right.
very, very prominent business owners and prominent entrepreneurs, authors, and so on. So
Mhm.
it's a golden opportunity for you to be in that mix with these people.
And so here on the podcast, you're going to hear from members of the community, of the tea break community. Now, it is the virtual global tea break in the website globalteabreak.com. We often just refer to it as the tea break.
Mm,
And so you're going to hear from members of the community of the tea break. You're going to get insights to them. And this is one of the great things that when you see these books, the authors, and you come to the tea break, you have direct access to folks. And not to intimidate anybody, we've got some world class folks that are part of this. And we have people that have just started a business or they're working a day job and they want to start a business. And so they come and join as the a member of the community. We're all here to help each other. There's no attitudes, there's no hierarchy, there's just friendship, collaboration, and success.
yeah. Yeah. And that's the key to it. It is success because, as we always say, one cup of tea can change the world. And that's
Mhm,
exactly what we try to do. You know what I mean? It's all about interaction. It's all about community. It's all about building those connections. And that's why, as Scott has said, that's what this podcast is going to be for. You're gonna learn so much. So I would say to you now is to subscribe to this podcast and and share it with your community and share it with people that may be interested in learning. You go to our website, you'll see, as I said, the community page. A lot of these people are going to be on this particular podcast and they're going to be
mhm,
sharing their expertise, and we're also going to have a little bit of fun along the way. So we'll be throwing a few little bits and pieces in there, and we'll be also giving you more information as we start to develop it more for
mhm,
the tea break. We're looking at the moment at creating a conference, a virtual conference. We also
Mhm.
have plans next year for us to write a book with all of the members, so that will be
Mhm.
exciting as well. So there's so much opportunity. But I would say to you, if you are watching, or if you're listening to the podcast, you can also check it out because we also have it, the video cast of this available on our YouTube channel at the Global Tea Break as well. So check it out. We're going to also have them on. So this is another opportunity for you to actually to view and watch these people talk. So
Mhm.
you're getting so much here that it's actually if I think Scott, the way I sort of think about this is if I was starting out in business and I came across this, I would be so delighted because just
Mhm.
what I'm going to learn, how I'm going to connect with these people. I mean, this is an opportunity. And like that, if there is people out there who are only starting a business or you're thinking of starting a business and you're looking for some advice, come to the Global Tea Break.
Mhm.
We're there to help. We will always be there to open our arms up and welcome you in because I think that's the most important part about our community.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun to watch it grow from that very first Zoom meeting where we had nothing. We had
Mm,
no assets, we had no pictures, we had no logo. Now we do, thanks to Alan, the digital mentor. We've got a beautiful website. We've got great graphics. We've got branding. We got all these things. But I've often said that we could bring in a business, maybe a struggling business that needed some help, drop them into the middle of one of those tea break meetings, and they would get not just marketing advice, not just branding and website, social media stuff, but operations, manufacturing,
mm,
human resources. We've got experts in many fields. And when you come together like that, it's amazing what kind of synergies happen, which is a terrible word because it's just kind of a throw around word, but it really is. It is a true synergy that happens. New ideas get spun off when we have these conversations. It's just remarkable to see what happens.
yeah. And of course, when we're talking here about, business acumen and, business matters and all of this thing. And I'm sitting here with the master of that. He is the business networking master himself, D.Scott Smith. If you like, Scott he's wrote so many great books. He's talked at so many huge events across the world, not just in the States. He's talked worldwide. He's been even here in Ireland, and so there's a huge opportunity for to learn as well from Scott, and to he has just released his new book. He's have a number of collaborations on a number of books that he's wrote. So do check him out, and also reach out and connect with both of us because we want
Mhm.
to learn. We want to learn from you because I'm a firm believer in saying that everyone is learning. We're always learning. Like I'm doing what I'm doing for the last 15 years, and there's still not a day that doesn't go by that I don't learn something new. I'm currently, looking at all this AI stuff and being blown away by it. And this is
Mhm.
the evolution of what's happening. When we think about when we started the tea break, we didn't have we didn't know about X. We didn't know that it was going to be
Mhm.
taken over by Elon Musk. We didn't know that we were going to have a pandemic. Even we didn't know that we weren't aware of AI. So there was all of these things have happened over the last number of years, and I think that's the great thing about the tea break because we've had experts on who have said, "Look, this is coming down the tracks." Like we have people like Jim Fuse, who is
Mhm.
a Amazon expert, an influencer, but he's also a
Mhm.
live streaming expert as well.
Yep. He's a
And
producer, event producer,
and
and
he
more.
brings so much to the table when he's talking about all of the different stuff that we can do for our live videos. So you're getting that experience. You've Cami Heiser, another
Mhm.
phenomenal social media and digital marketing expert, who
Yep.
there's just so many people like we have Nancy Backy, who is a true promoter of the podcast, and we have to give her a shout out. We've people like Russ Hedge on. We have, there's
I
so
love this
many
name
people.
dropping because
Yeah,
and it's funny because you think, well, how do you promote this? How do you advertise it? We don't have to. We
yeah,
have new people every month in the tea break meetings who came because someone said, You have to come to this. This is a good group. This is a welcoming group. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to build friendships. And 90 minutes is a lot of time to commit, even though it's only once a month.
mm,
And people set aside this time to come and be a part of the community, and that is humbling to me, but also adds that sense of responsibility. It says, we need to make more improvements. So the website. So as you mentioned, we've got the bookshelf, we got the podcasts, YouTube's, people's profiles, and now we've got this podcast that's new. Here we are in episode 0, setting the stage. You're going to hear from some great community members. So make sure to subscribe. And then we're going to be putting together a book with experts from the field. And it's going to be a great business handbook. And I'm just looking forward to getting that published this coming year, 2024. So, Alan, as we wind down this episode, because I always give you the last words,
ah.
what do you want people to know about the global tea break community?
Okay, so what I want people to know is that it's an open space that we want to see you at the Global Tea Break. We want to see you at the meetings. We want to, you know, have you subscribe to this podcast or to even our YouTube channel. We want you to start to talk to us and learn and come in and be part of that community because we want to learn from you as much as well. This is a global community. And when I say global, I mean we have people from America, we have people from Belgium, we have people from South Africa, New Zealand, Hong Kong, UK, Ireland. It's just so expansive. So if you're trying to break into even these particular different markets, this is the place to be. This is the place to be because you're going to build up so many connections, but you're also going to have so much opportunity to learn, but also to collaborate and promote yourself as well on this. So we want you to join our global tea break. And also, we want you to enjoy this podcast. And it's what we want to do. It's our next big venture. And we're looking forward to interviewing and chat. And let me rephrase that. We're not interviewing anybody. We're going to be chatting with people because that's what it's about. It's about connecting and it's about chatting. So join join the community. Also subscribe to the podcast and listen out for episode 1, which is coming soon. And it's a very, very special guest that's going to kick us off on the Tea Break podcast. So, guys, I think that is about our lot for today. I think I better go and wash some cups because I better get the cutlery out and I better get the cups and saucers out because I think there's going to be a lot of tea drinking on this podcast.
I'll give you a hand. We'll wash up.
Cool. On next time, have a great week and we'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.
I love it. That was
Boom.
good.
That was good. It's good. It's 28 minutes. So, yeah. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
So that brings
Yeah.
us up to about 30 minutes.
Right, exactly. And we can always stretch things a little bit if we need to.
Yeah. So
You
I'm
know,
going to end this recording now and we'll just let it end.